Well, what happened is that after ABC, Brian Ross broadcast the the videotapes of the Reverend Wright goddamning America and slamming whites and slamming Jews and America, he was contacted by one of Obama's closest personal friends, a guy who travels on Obama's plane, who plays basketball with him, who goes on vacations with him.
And you named this guy for the first time today because you did not name him in the book.
I did name him in the book, but I can tell you who he is. His name is Dr. Eric Whitaker. Dr. Whitaker is the vice president of the University of Chicago Medical Center, and he's a member of Obama's very tight inner circle. And he sent an email to a member of the Trinity United Church.
By the way, is this the same hospital Michelle worked at? I'm just trying to get it.
Exactly the same hospital that she worked.
And this is where she got that big raise after he became senator?
She was making what, $300,000?
Yeah, but it was a significant jump up after he became senator.
That's right. And you know, the Chicago politics is one hand feeds the other, as you know. And Eric Whitaker, a very close friend of the Obamas, sent an email to a member of the church saying that the Reverend Wright could get $150,000 if he would shut up and not criticize Obama anymore. Then, after the Reverend Wright said no thank you, Obama himself paid a personal call on the Reverend Wright.
When did this personal meeting take place, this face-to-face?
Well, just to put it in context, if you remember, Obama made a big speech
in Pennsylvania and Philly.
That's right, saying this is his famous race speech, which took place on the 18th of March. About 10 days later, he made the secret meeting with the Reverend Wright, after he'd already denounced him, and begged him to not speak any further. Now, we know this is true not only because the Reverend Wright told me so, but because the Secret Service logs logged in this meeting. So we have confirmation that it actually took place.
Now, so they offered him, and this is all on the tapes that you have with Reverend Wright. Reverend Wright said this. So Reverend Wright, am I reading this correctly, is angry at Obama?
Reverend Wright is more than angry. He's absolutely fulminating. He feels that he's been thrown under the bus by a man whom he mentored for 23 or 24 years. You know, all of us, complained about the fact that Obama sat in that church and listened to that hate speech for 20 years. But what we don't realize is that even before he became a member of the church, he was very close to the Reverend Wright, who was like a second father to him, and who was his spiritual advisor, his political advisor, and in fact, the Reverend Wright told me on tape that Obama came to him and said, I need some spiritual advice. I don't know exactly who I am. And the Reverend Wright said, and this is on tape, well, we know your Islam background, and you have that, but what you need now is some coaching on Christianity. And I asked the Reverend Wright, did you convert him from being a Muslim to a Christian? And he said, well, I don't know if I could go that far, but I can tell you that I made it comfortable for him to accept Christianity without having to renounce his Islamic background.
This is all on tape. So
it's all on tape.
When can I play these tapes?
Well, I'd be happy to give them to you.
I can have a copy of the whole 3.5 hours?
Absolutely.
I'd love a copy of that. All right, now, believe me, we're gonna play them. All right, let's go on, because we could spend the entire time just on this, and I think, you know, it's pretty fascinating to me. Well, describe one other thing, because when was it that he met with? It was before, I think, Wright, you said in the book, spoke at the National Press Club, which was the last straw for Obama at that point. Am I right?
That's right.
In the timeline here? Okay. And so they met, and this was a private meeting, and they purposely dodged the press on this, correct?
They certainly did. They made it a secret meeting, and Obama said, I'd rather you not speak at the NAACP Freedom Fund dinner and not do the National Press Club appearance. It's going to hurt the campaign if you do that. And I asked the Reverend Wright, well, what did you say? And he said, and I'm quoting now, I said, I don't see it that way. And anyway, how am I supposed to support my family? I have a daughter and granddaughter in college whose tuitions I pay. I've got to earn money. And he said, well, I wish you wouldn't speak in public. This is Obama. The press is going to eat you alive. And Reverend Wright said, how did you two leave? I asked him, how did you two leave this? And he said, Barack told me, I'm sorry you don't see it that way. Do you know what your problem is? And the Reverend Wright said, no, what's my problem? And Barack said, you have to tell the truth. And Reverend Wright said, that's a good problem to have, Barack.